Hello, and thank you for being here. It's the most difficult time of the day to have a conference because it's after lunch and everybody feels sleepy and ready to, and ready to take a nap, or so I will strive to keep you awake. As you have seen, right now I live in the United States. I've been in the United States for 35 years, but I was born in Romania. I worked there with the National Library, so I have the library background from back home. In the US, I teach library science. On and off, I teach a course in library history, but not that often. Americans are not super interested in library history because they want to learn practical things that would bring them a job right away. So on and off, I visit topics from back home in Romania. So that's why I chose to talk a little bit about the early printing in Romania. Quite a complicated background. That's why I will cover a little bit historical background. How many of you are familiar or somewhat familiar with Romania, its history, and what is going on? I see one hand here. Yeah, I lived my entire life in Romania under communism, so I'm familiar with that part of our common history here. So geographically, Romania is quite diverse because the Carpathian Mountains represented pretty much a historical, linguistic, and cultural barrier. The southern part and the northeastern part used to be under the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or under the Ottoman Empire, with a different kind of linguistic evolution, while Transylvania, many people, when I'm asked about Transylvania, everybody talks about Dracula, obviously. And so that was a completely different development, historical, linguistic, because that part was under the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So there are quite plenty of influences. So what you saw here is Greater Romania, which includes what you see here, Bessarabia, right now is the Republic of Moldova, which was an ex-Soviet republic. Right now, this is the current shape of Romania. Sometimes people say that it looks like a fish. I don't see the fish there, but doesn't matter. So from a linguistic perspective and historical perspective, at a certain point, that area was under the Greeks. So we have some Greek influence in our history and language, obviously. Then we were under the Roman Empire, and that's where the name of the country comes, Romania. And right now, the Romanian language is a Romance language. And then we had the migratory tribes, and the legacy from this period is the Slavic influence in the Romanian language. So at this point in time, we have pretty much, we claim we have 60% Roman roots, Latin words, and the rest would be German, Greek, and a lot of Slavic influence in our language. Or we can have the same word with both, the same idea, the same notion with both words, both the German, sometimes the Latin, or the Hungarian. So it's a confluence of all kinds of influences. So because here we are at a conference on the history of printing, obviously that had a significant impact on what was printed and where and in what language and what the audience was supposed to be. Because I don't have a significant slide here, but from religious perspective, the southern part and northeastern part would be Orthodox, and the Transylvania would be Catholic. So again, a lot of influence on what was printed during the diverse periods of time. So quite a lot of, a significant amount of influences that sometimes resulted into conflicts and sometimes result in a peaceful manner. At the end of World War I, Transylvania decided to join Romania, the two countries that had merged in the 1800s. So that was the end of World War I was pretty much what we have today as under the name of current Romania. Moldova, so, and the eastern part, that had a certain Greek influence, because when we were under the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan decided to appoint some Greek rulers. So they brought a significant Greek influence in our culture, linguistically, from linguistic point of view, and of course what was printed in this part of the country. So that's a clear map. After the independence, which was in 1877, there was a lot of local conflict, and even the Romanian rulers were replaced by German rulers, because the idea was that if we import a king, a German king, things are going to calm down and become quiet and kept under control. And this king has brought quite a lot of development, cultural and scientific development in the country. And since before the War of Independence, the language used for printing and in the official documents was something called Church Slavonic. So Romanian language was written with a Cyrillic alphabet, and that's pretty much what was printed. And this continued in Moldova, the Republic of Moldova, when it was under the Soviet influence, because the Romanian language was forbidden, and they wrote Romanian with Cyrillic alphabet. So this was abolished after their independence in 1990, and they reverted to writing Romanian with Latin characters. So there was a period with a transition alphabet. So from 1830 to 1877, when we had the independence, that was a transitional alphabet, so a little bit of mixture of Latin characters mixed with the Cyrillic characters in all of the printing that occurred at that point in time. And once the country became unified, there was a moment we reverted pretty much. We found again our Roman, our Latin roots, and that marked an evolution of the language, and which was in spoken oral language and in primarily written language. That's the first document handwritten in Cyrillic letters, and it's in one of the archives in Romania. I had the opportunity to touch this. I was allowed to touch this document, quite a rare treat. And that was a stamp that was issued when they celebrated 500 years after this document has survived for so long time. As I mentioned, all kinds of influences, And that's we don't have to ignore the Hungarian influence, which is pretty much, even now we have on the political spectrum, there is a Hungarian party, because the Hungarians remained the second largest population in Romania. There are Romanians, Hungarians, and then Germans. Many Germans emigrated. So, of course, we have some Jewish population, but they also left the country during the communists and after the fall of communism. So the major printing places in Transylvania were these three cities, Sibiu, Cluj, and Brașov. So there was a lot of printing being done in Latin. All the first imprints obviously were church-related, so religious imprints, primarily in Latin, German, and then Hungarian, because these were pretty much the languages spoken there. Here I list, are these slides going to become available to people? Or, yeah, so there are names of printers. I'm not going to go through each and every person to say what they did, but they contributed. These are major names in the Romanian printing history, and they brought printing presses and they spread the words, the written word and the printed word in Romania's culture. Here there are some dates, some names of significant printers who established typographies in printing shops in this part of the country. Sometimes the printing was transmitted from one generation to another in the same family, so they remained in the printing business for more than a century sometimes, because they inherited, one generation inherited the printing shop from previous generations, from their ancestors, and then they started printing not only books but also newspapers, so to spread the word with the news, to keep everybody informed with what was going on at least in that part of the world, if not in farther places. Then we had Habsburg influence, so the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they brought their own influence in culture and everything meaning culture, music, arts, literature, everything, and obviously the printing activities. And there are some nice printing museums in many places in Romania. I was surprised to see how many have preserved old printing presses and old newspapers and books. So even they were not only printed, not only texts, but also graphics, very colorful. That's the way that the world looked to some printers in 1500s. And these are the first print, the first 10 books printed in Transylvania. So the same printing shop. This is a sample of Cyrillic. And in Wallachia, pretty much the first book printed was in 1508. And here we have these monks that came from Serbia, and they brought again, they brought presses with Cyrillic characters. again, some, and many of these presses were associated with monasteries, so with the religious, with Orthodox monasteries and convents. This is in the southern part of Romania, Wallachia, called Wallachia. Again, there were some printed text in not only in Cyrillic, Church Slavonic, then the Romanian, the transition, but also in Greek. And at a certain time, at a certain point, there were some imprints even in Arabic, because we've been under the Ottoman Empire for 400 years. So there is a significant influence. Thank you. So here, that's pretty much the first dictionary in French-Romanian. A lot of French, not only Latin words, but we have Italian and French words that penetrated and into the language. Again, metropolitan priests who was affiliated with the first imprints in the northeastern part, Moldavia. Let me see, I wanted to, so this is the Varlam. Again, another one, so he helped with his press print this kind of books. They have survived, many of them have survived, and I have some, of course, newspapers were printed later on, Jewish printing, as I've said, in Moldova. Something significant was this kind of engraving and this kind of illustrations for, this started in Moldova, in the not the Republic, the Moldavia in Romania, but also then there were many young people who came to Moldavia to learn this craft of illustrating. It's pretty much wood blocks that were used, and they were used also in Transylvania. So you see the imprints in Transylvania that carry this kind of illustrations. Again, a synopsis with the first imprints. During the communist period, religion was outlawed, so it was banned. Religious books, obviously, they go without saying. Many of them were destroyed, but there were massive confiscations. Some of them ended up in large libraries, like the National Library, the county libraries, or academic libraries. So some of them, hopefully, were saved. They survived. And right now, this is the latest discovery. So many monks and nuns hid their religious texts in the towers, or they walled them. So they were very well preserved. As you can see, this is the latest discovery, probably two years ago. Quite a massive amount of religious books that survived in the walls of a certain monastery. And now they are in crates, and that's how they were discovered. So churches were quite good preservation spots for these primarily religious books that were banned during communism. So librarians are busy with cataloging and describing all of these newly discovered treasures, because we have to be quite grateful to monks and nuns who hid these treasures and didn't allow them to disappear, to vanish.